Stacy's my daughter, and I want her back.
She still holds out hope that one day we might learn the truth about what really happened to Springfield's 3 missing women.
Welcome back to Crimetober. Tonight's case takes us to one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in America. 3 women, a mother, daughter, and a daughter's best friend, all vanished without a trace. No bodies, no signs of a suspect, and no answers. This is the story of the Springfield 3. So this story focuses on 3 women: Sherrill Levitt, who was 47, Suzie Streeter, who was 19, and Stacy McCall, who was 18. So on June 6, 1992, Suzie and Stacy had graduated from Kickapoo High School in Springfield, Missouri. Now, they've had plans to celebrate graduation with friends and decided to spend the night at Suzie and Sherrill's home. That would be the last decision that they would ever make.
All of the graduation stuff, we went out to eat. And then Stacy went home with us, and she immediately started changing clothes. And I said, wait, you can't change clothes yet. We've got pictures out back.
Stacy would oblige her mother's photo request, then met up with Streeter so the two could attend planned parties to celebrate graduation.
So the night of their disappearance, Suzie and Stacy had been going to multiple graduation parties, and around 2 a.m., they went back to Suzie's home to spend the night. The next morning, friends would come to grab them because they were going to go to a water park. But the friends could not locate Suzie or Stacy, and even Sherrill. And what was left behind was very chilling. All 3 women's cars were parked at the home. Their purses, money, and other belongings were also inside the home. Even Sherrill's dog, Cinnamon, was there, but the dog appeared to be in distress. The only thing that was missing were the women themselves. Literally, they could not find them. So the police were called, but this is where it gets a little tricky. Because so many family and friends were inside the home, the crime scene was compromised because they had started to clean up, they had started to remove things, and this made it a little difficult for law enforcement. The front light porch had also been shattered, but because some of the evidence was picked up and cleaned, they could not determine what or why.
Finding the purses of all 3 women, there was no sign of a struggle, only a broken glass bulb over the front porch light. Police believe the 3 women went missing sometime between 2:30 a.m. and 8 a.m.
So the front porch light was shattered. Then it had appeared there was a voicemail, a strange voicemail that was left on the answer machine, but that was later erased by accident. Despite extensive searches of Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy, no one could find them. There was no evidence to turn where they might have been. So over the years, there were multiple theories as to what may have happened to the Springfield 3. One was being maybe they were abducted by a stranger, meaning maybe they were lured outside the home, with a gun. Someone was already probably in the house, or maybe when they came to the home around 2 a.m., maybe someone was watching them, because you just never know. There also might have been a potential connection to a serial killer. So one man by the name of Robert Craig Cox was a known kidnapper and serial killer. He had made hints that he knew what had happened to the 3 women, but there was not much to come by. All he tells is law enforcement is that I know what happens to them, but he doesn't give any details. He doesn't help them to actually process this case.
Both come back to one man as a likely suspect, Robert Craig Cox. He was convicted of killing a woman in Florida, but was released on a trial technicality. He was in Springfield at the time of the disappearance.
He was fully capable of doing it. He had worked with the same place that my husband worked at, Reliable Chevrolet.
Jenna said he very well could have seen Stacy when she and her sisters would visit their father at work.
Well, Cox is probably the most logical choice. There's so many ways that he fits, And he's pretty much of a sociopath from the interviews I've seen.
With all the emotional suffering the families have endured the past 25 years, it's their faith that has helped guide them through.
So in 2007, police got an anonymous phone call saying that there might be remains near a local hospital garage, but there has not been any reports of if those remains were ever found or if they, got those remains. So that's not something that, we can confirm. Despite all the theories, none of them have been proven, and the Springfield 3 are still missing. The Springfield 3 case is one that is a mystery because 3 women vanished without a trace and no signs as to where they might be. And the fact that they left behind so much, but it doesn't lead to anything and it honestly gives you more question than it does answers. It has been over 30 years and there's still no sign or justice regarding the Springfield 3. And that is truly heartbreaking. There has not been any arrests, no bodies. And like I said, there's more question than there are answers. On June 6, 1992, 3 women vanished without a trace: Sherrill, Stacy, and Suzie. And it's truly heartbreaking that they just graduated and that's how their life would turn up. It goes down this course of what happened to them, especially being as though a mother and a daughter and then someone else's child. I can only imagine how Stacy's family must have had felt. But they are known as the Springfield 3, the name that surrounds this case. And unfortunately, there's just not any more new information surrounding their disappearances. So what do you think happened? Do you think someone was following them, someone that they knew? It just makes you question. Like, I think I read one article where they said some of their jewelry was in the bathroom. So it had appeared that they were getting ready to go to bed and maybe someone was in the house or maybe someone had followed them. That's the only thing that rings bells in my mind, being as though it's like 2 a.m. And nothing good ever happens at night. So it could have been someone potentially following them to the home and waiting for any given moment and lured all 3 of them outside the home, or maybe murdered one and then removed the body. But there's not any evidence to support any of those theories. All we know is that 3 women vanished without a trace on June 6, 1992. And that is crazy to me that there is not a trace. And it sucks that so many people were in and out of the home because there's not any evidence. The evidence was compromised because of so many people coming into a crime scene. Lord, but you have to think back, 1992, it's different times. But that is today's case, guys. It is a case that I've never heard about. I was very intrigued by it, even though it didn't have a lot of details. And hopefully some new information turns up. I'm always that person, like, cold cases will revamp. Like, it was just a case where I think it was like 2 babies twin girls finally figured out who they actually were because their parents had been murdered. And look at that, 36 years. So never say never that you may not get the information, but I do hope they do in this time. Until the next episode, guys, meaning tomorrow, I'll see you.